Thanks very much, Louis. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm truly grateful to Hong Kong Trade Development Council for giving me the opportunity and this platform to share with you my views on the challenges and opportunities in Brazil. Thank you all for coming. For many years, the idea of South America has been quite obscure for people in Hong Kong, China, and Asia in general. Located literally on the other side of the world, South America has been considered to be a group of undeveloped and politically unstable countries, mostly influenced by the politics of the United States and Europe. The reverse is also there. For South American countries, China and Asia are seen as exotic, and doing business here might be a risk too high to handle. However, the economic changes of the last decade has shown an extraordinary growth of these emerging markets, and that is why we are here today. China has become one of the largest economic players and the second strongest economy in the world, while most countries in South America are on the right path to becoming modern and dynamic economies, as well as an important domestic market for worldwide products. Among those countries, I would like to highlight Brazil, which will be the main focus of my presentation today. At the same time that this country shows great similarities to China and impressive growth in its GDP, Brazil is still facing many challenges that, if not managed well and diligently, can erode the progress which has already been achieved so far. Now, I must admit that I am no expert in Brazil, but after working for more than 5 years with companies and business people from all over Latin America, and having the chance to visit Brazil myself 1 year ago with a delegation of businessmen led by our financial secretary, Mr. John Zhang, I had the chance to witness this miracle firsthand and to understand a little bit more about this country with so many opportunities. For this presentation, I would like to talk about 3 main points as shown in the slide right in front of you, with the objective to present an overview of the importance of the Brazilian market for China nowadays, how Brazil has managed to develop into a leading economy in today's world, attracting so much interest, some of the most attractive sector for foreign investors, and how Hong Kong, the city I am deeply rooted, and China can benefit from this new and important partner in terms of new businesses, tax planning, exchange rate, among others. Now, the first important thing which must be considered is the unique geographic context in which Brazil is located. Just like China, it is a country of continental proportions and borders almost all other countries in South America. Brazil is located centrally on the South American continent, facing the south of the Atlantic Ocean and granting relatively easy access to North America and Europe, also being a strategic point for reaching the western coast of Africa. Also differently from other South American countries which were dominated for many years by Spain, Brazil was for more than 300 years a colony of Portugal. Even today, Brazil still holds a strong heritage from Portugal, shown mainly through their common language, Portuguese, but also in their architecture and even the food. Those who have already been there must agree that many cities in Brazil bear great resemblance to our next-door neighbor, Macau. According to the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency, Apex Brazil, based on the numbers provided by the International Monetary Fund, Brazil is the largest economy in the whole of Latin America, with a GDP representing around 60% of the regional economy, as you can see on this slide. When considering the nominal GDP, Brazil is the 7th largest in the world, and it aims to reach the top 5 in the next few decades. In the next 2 slides, you can see the comparison regarding the countries from the BRICS, Brazil being 3rd in terms of GDP growth. Its GDP growth in 2010 was of 7.5%, the largest figure in the past 24 years, and not far behind from China and India. But one may ask, how did this happen? For that, we must recall the crisis of the 70s, which left deep scars in Brazil's economy, together with a high foreign debt and inflation. For the next 15 to 20 years, the country suffered from low productivity and suspicion from foreign markets that did not want to invest in a country with such unstable background. Only in 1995, with the introduction of Brazil's current currency, the real, the country was able to control inflation and lower its foreign debt. With the economy under control and more favorable conditions, Brazil managed to implement sound economic measures which enabled domestic companies to grow and finance their expansion. Changing from a background of many challenges, Brazil has reincorporated its old motto as the country of the future. It is now the political leader in South America and a role model to its neighboring countries due to its political stability, economic growth, and decreasing of the poverty gap. The country experienced a 27% reduction of people living under the poverty line, thus meaning the rise of the tens of millions of people to an eager-to-consume middle class. On a different note, Brazil's profile as an emerging oil giant is a plain view. Not only it is poised to be one of the largest oil producer, but it is already a leader in developing renewable energy resources. And as a green energy leader, its alternative fuels and technology transfers promote energy independence and promise to be a pot of gold in the medium term for those willing to invest in such technologies. Brazil is also the world's biggest supplier of internationally traded agricultural products such as sugar, soya beans, coffee, corn, orange juice, beef and poultry, and other important products for the growth of China. However, there is still much to be explored in the agricultural field. Now, so perhaps this might be some business opportunity for some businessmen in Hong Kong, using Hong Kong as a business hub to export, such kind of agricultural products from China via Hong Kong to Brazil. Now, so regarding Brazil as a global business hub, its bigger cities such as Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro have embraced the most modern in terms of technologies, hotels and restaurants, and the entire infrastructure needed for receiving businessmen and tourists from all over the globe. And of course, with events like the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympic Games in 2016, there is still much more to come. Now, but where to begin? With a mixture of agricultural, mining, manufacturing, and service sectors, Brazil is one of the more diversified emerging markets. The Brazil Trade and Investment Promotion Agency has highlighted 6 areas in which investments are most welcome, as you can see on the slide. Now, I will very briefly talk about each one of them as much as I can. Now, the first one is oil and gas. Even though the Brazilian government has the monopoly in oil exploration, production, refining, and transport, it is still possible to invest in areas such as shipbuilding, drilling units, and subsea equipment and services. It is expected that the oil and gas production will more than double in 10 years' time. The second point is tourism. With a wide territory, Brazil has options for all tastes and budgets. The country is booming not only with the international tourism, but also with Brazilian tourists traveling inside the country. And with the Football World Cup, and Olympic Games approaching, the country still needs improvements in its hospitality sector. I would like to mention that this week, our firm had the pleasure of receiving the Secretary of Tourism of the state of Rio de Janeiro, who came to Hong Kong looking for opportunities in attracting more Asians, Hong Kong people, and people from China to its cities, and likewise. Life sciences, biotechnology, and healthcare are some of the most promising sectors in Brazil. Since 2003, the country received more than 51 new FDI projects in that area, worth around US $1.5 billion. Brazil is considered to be the Latin American hub for this industry, holding more patents in biotechnology than any other country in the region. The fourth one is semiconductors. Brazil depends greatly on this kind of technology for its production market related to aviation, automotive, and medical supplies. The country is growing as one of the main markets for mobile phones and personal computers, heating up the semiconductors and electronic components market in general. Information technology and business process outsourcing. Brazil has no restrictions on foreign investment in the IT BPO sector. The rules and procedures for establishing a business in Brazil are basically the same for domestic and foreign investors. There are also some tax and financial incentives for companies who invest in this sector. The last item I want to talk about is venture capital. Now, Chinese and Hong Kong investors are searching more and more opportunities in venture capital and private equity in Brazil, either by going public or by looking for attractive and diversified investment options, as well as fragmented sectors which represent opportunities to be consolidated. Some prominent sectors include energy and mineral resources, manufacturing, and services. And likewise, I also would like to take this opportunity to mention that one of a very renowned company in Brazil called Vale, V-A-L-E, they got listed in Hong Kong last year in December. So this is the first Brazilian company to get listed in Hong Kong. So personally, as an accountant, I would see that more and more big Brazilian companies coming to this way to come to Hong Kong to get listed, using Hong Kong as a hub, for raising more capital, for their needs, as well as, promoting their international brand name. So, yes, even the most promising sectors present some challenges. However, Brazil is slowly overcoming them, and if the country keeps growing at its current pace, great things will be achieved, and Brazil will have its place in a bigger and brighter spotlight. China has understood that, and now it stands as Brazil's main business partner in terms of trade. You can see in this slide here. Trade between China and Brazil increased from 9 billion in 2004 to 56 billion last year. With a surplus of 5 billion for Brazil, China overtook the United States in 2010 as Brazil's largest trade partner. China, through its 5-year plan announced it recently, aims to increase the income of its population and thus the country's internal demand. This is exactly what Brazil is doing right now, only by using a different path. While China is orientated towards sustainability to reaching this goal, Brazil is doing it through the consumption of new technologies. Furthermore, even Hong Kong can play an important role in this dynamic situation. Some of my clients already use Hong Kong as a distribution center for the high technology products they sell from China to Brazil, due to its logistics network that guarantee quality supply chain management for their Brazilian clients. Now, also as mentioned before, being one of the financial hearts of Asia, Hong Kong offers many options in terms of investment funds directed to the emerging market, and Brazil is leading the way in attracting this kind of investments from Hong Kong. Now, some specialists may see a threat in the close relations between Brazil and China, claiming that with the current portfolio of trading, China would undermine Brazil's industries, which will turn the country into a commodities exporter, practically going back to its colonial days in terms of trading. It is true that China is a strong competitor for Brazil industry, but it should use its strength and develop its own markets. Despite their differences, the two emerging markets are putting those issues aside for their mutual benefit. I mean China and Brazil. It is clear that Brazil is looking for more investments to finance its growth, mainly in terms of infrastructure, and China certainly has the capital and the know-how to make this a happy marriage. The biggest example of that was the visit of Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff to China in April. In just 2 days, the visit by Brazil's president resulted in approximately 20 trade agreements worth a total of $1 billion. This includes the selling of Brazilian executive jets to China and the implementation of industrial plants in Brazil by corporate giants like Foxconn, Fusihong, and Huawei. Now, overall, Dilma's trip provided an opportunity to seal important deals, but trade and investment flows would keep trending up regardless of this presidential visit. It is clear that Brazil will be an important platform for China's business and investments. Hand in hand, hopefully the two countries can grow together, and definitely Hong Kong will benefit. Now, as mentioned before, exactly 1 year ago, I had a chance to visit Brazil. Together with the delegation of government officials and businessmen, we had a chance to visit important companies such as Cosan, C-O-S-A-N, the country's largest company in the sugar and energy sector in Brazil. And also I had a chance to visit the Brazilian Stock Exchange, one of the largest in the world in terms of market capitalization. But more than that, I could see firsthand how the country is thriving and become a large and important business network. It is impressive how cities like Sao Paulo are growing in terms of income, employment, and living standards. Despite its strict labor laws, recent studies have shown that top executive salaries in Sao Paulo are the highest in the world right now, surpassing even New York, London, and of course Hong Kong. Now, as a final remark, here is my advice for those who decide to venture the Brazilian market. It is very important to consider Brazil as a unique player in South America rather than a business hub or simply a market. One must understand Brazil as a nation and why it stands out from other countries in Latin America. I have a colleague who is a Brazilian who is here today. Her name is Julia, sitting right in the first row right in front here. And it helps greatly when dealing with contacts and clients from Brazil, not only because of the language, but also because it's important to count on people that understand the inquisitive nature of the Brazilian business person. Now, needless to say, to do business successfully with Brazil, one must study, understand, and adapt to its culture, which is no easy task. In my daily business with clients from Brazil, challenges are always there. Different language, different rules, different mindsets, and different practices. Yet there is one way we can overcome them. 2 words: mutual respect. Despite the difference in culture we have with the Brazilians, I value the constellation of behaviors that express our mutual respect for one another: honesty, fairness, humility, kindness, courtesy, and compassion. I hang on to all these values, and they help me a lot, making lots of friends from Brazil. These are just some of my small tips, and I truly wish you all good luck for those who wish to venture into this great and promising country like me. So thank you very much, and since Christmas is drawing near, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2012. Thank you very much. Thanks.